So I'm going to need the world's smallest violin for this. Did you know that the countries represented in Dubai for the United Nations-led COP28 climate summit are clashing over the phasing out of the term phase out? I know, boo-hoo, right? They can't all agree on their plans for world domination. Oh no, whatever will we do? At least bureaucratic red tape that slows everything down to non-melting glacier speed is finally coming in handy for us for once. Whoever would have thought? The summit was supposed to wrap up today, but instead looks like it's going to run a little late, and that's because on Monday, the draft declaration that was released asked countries to reduce their consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable manner, instead of calling for a total phase-out. Hey, look at that. Even their favorite new buzzword, equity, wasn't enough to satisfy some of those radical believers in this climate doomsday cult. This phraseology angered some of the European and North American representatives who still want us to believe in their dire predictions that never come true, a la Al Gore style. But funny enough, some of their biggest opponents came from the literal president of this year's COP28 summit, and that is the Sultan Al Jaber of the event's host country, the United Arab Emirates. The Sultan argued that there is no science indicating that totally phasing out fossil fuels entirely will restrict the Earth's predicted warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is the summit's target goal. The Sultan went even further to say that such phasing out would not only not allow for sustainable development, it would bring humanity back to the days of living inside caves. As you might imagine, he made some of the high priests and priestesses of the climate religion pretty upset with his brutal honesty. And so they said that his comments spring from his conflict of interest, seeing as he is also the chief executive of his nation's state oil company. And we all know those Gulf states live like kings because of oil money. Without it, what else would they have? And to that point, I'll agree to say, yeah, the Sultan has national interest, and that's a good thing. These European and North American leaders should try it sometime instead of selling out our national prosperity. A lot of these Middle Eastern nations have a vested interest in parroting climate change rhetoric in so much as it cripples American energy independence and leaves us reliant on OPEC production. But they don't want to go further than that and affect their own source of wealth. It's a similar playbook for China and even for Russia. And a lot of these smaller nations that go whole hog in the climate agenda do so because the COP28 draft document also talks about giving them a lot of money. And so they'll say anything to get a slice of that pie. For Western liberals, it's easy to see what they get out of it. They cement their political power at home, fill the void left behind by true religion, and are able to buy the loyalty of small client states around the world. Again, everyone benefits in this scam except for the American people. That's why our first guest tonight is taking a stand to reassert American interests on the world stage, specifically when it comes to recommendations coming out of the summit from the UN to cut our meat consumption and production. Joining us now to discuss his new resolution is Republican U.S. Congressman Mike Flood, representing Nebraska's 1st Congressional District. Congressman, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So explain for our audience exactly what your resolution is calling for.
Well, you know, the global elites are at it again in Dubai. Now they want to restrict beef consumption. They want to promote alternatives to meat. My resolution basically says that the United States House of Representatives supports and, in fact, the world needs beef production. We need states like Nebraska to turn out the best beef in the world, to feed the nation, and to underpin our economy in rural America. And it basically calls out these global elites in Dubai for this craziness that developed over the weekend. You know, they put out this recommendation. They want to reduce the amount of beef in diets, promote recommendations that include non-meat alternatives, and they're suggesting that meat production be, quote unquote, rebalanced, which is code for stopped, which would threaten ranching and feeding producers all over America.
That it would. And now correct me if I'm wrong, but I have it noted here, I believe that the Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, which is where these recommendations are coming out from, is a Chinese CCP diplomat. Do you think that plays into it a lot? Because we know when it comes to energy, right, China likes to play up all the climate change stuff, though they never do anything about it, right? They're still the world's largest polluter when it comes to carbon and all these other emissions. But do you think they're playing a similar game here by trying to go after especially our agriculture and our beef industry? Because as far as I know, our beef, actually, that we are the world's largest producer of it, and what a great way for China to further cripple us, right?